Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So, Bernie Sanders went on Andrew Schultz's podcast this week and basically got chewed out by him, saying that the Democrats are no better than the Republicans they blame for the fact that the Democrats are really the undemocratic one.
The problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported them.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate, people will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
For the past several elections, ever since 2016, they have absolutely refused to do things democratically. The candidates they've picked, the process they've done has been anything but the will of the people, culminating in this final switcheroo, this last election cycle, with switching out Kamala for Biden, basically no election process, nothing due to the constituents. Just we're going to put her in, we're going to choose her, we're going to king make her, and it culminated in total disaster for the Democratic Party. And so Bernie finally admits that, okay, yeah, we're the ones not actually allowing our people to vote and have that vote matter, despite being one of the people who goes around and says Trump is a threat to democracy. It's like Trump did everything democratically. In a democracy, what's great about that is you can elect somebody who, even if you think that they are going to destroy democracy, even if they want to, and even if they do, you can do that in a democracy. You can vote that person in. At least Trump's people voted him in, whether you think he likes democracy or not. The reality, though, is that the Democrats never picked their candidate. Since Obama, they have not picked their candidate. They screwed Bernie twice. And then he was also grilled on, why did you go along with that? Why did you immediately run back to your owners and fall at their knees and say, I'll do whatever you say, after getting screwed twice? And then they throw up this last candidate, Kamala, after, kicking Biden out, before even telling Biden he was kicked out. So it's very weird relationship that the Democrats have with this concept of democracy, where they say everything must be done for democracy, and it's just like a concept. They don't actually mean anything. They just say it's just a catchphrase, like, for freedom and liberty and democracy, we've got to do things. We've got to take away your rights for democracy. We got to make sure you don't vote for democracy. So at least Bernie is saying here, he's finally admitting that, okay, yeah, the Democrats were wrong on this one, because this has been a huge disaster for them, not just from the election. Like, the election is not a standalone thing. It's a part of a bigger picture when it comes to the battle between left and right. And ever since the election, polls coming out, people are unsatisfied with the Democrat Party, that a lot more people think Trump is doing a better job. They have a little bit more favorable opinion of Trump. I have family members who are very, very liberal. Trump derangement syndrome, the whole thing, finally admitting, okay, he's not that bad. He never nuked anybody. He's not starting any wars. He didn't completely destroy the economy. None of those things have happened. And then at the same time, the Democrats keep doing these things that never go along with the will of the people, like throwing up Kamala. They admit she was a terrible candidate and she couldn't win. and it was unfair to the voters the way they did that. And then at the same time talking out of the side of their mouth saying this is for democracy, we have to suspend the vote. It's like, that's not how that works. So they a lot of the people I know personally feel like the Democrats are not supporting them in any way. They don't represent them anymore. That's not even just based on their actions, but their policies gone so far left. You even have, and anybody who tries to correct this, anybody who tries to say like, hey, let's like get back on track here, is thrown out of the party. You look at like Tulsi or RFK, but then even most recently, you have like that David Hogg who was going to be the vice chair, or like I think he was the vice chair of the DNC, and they kicked him out because he was like, hey, we got to focus on men at least a little bit here, because Trump, swept with the men. He took all the men and won in that landslide victory. And if we look at the numbers, the amount of male voters keeps going down and down for the Democrats. So maybe we should give them some attention. And all the Democrats in the DNC said, no, that's too traditional. You can't like want to appeal to men. That's crazy. It's like, even though they're half the voting population, you can't appeal to men at all. And so they kick him out, and anybody who's trying to rectify this situation with the Democrats just gets like thrown out of the party. Like, they don't want to hear it. No constructive criticism can be had. And it's going to keep happening because you can't just not appeal to men. You can't just not appeal to white people in any regard, especially with the ongoing realization of like racial tension in this country. White people kind of regaining a racial identity. Not only can you not just like ignore them anymore, you have to actually appease them, but you certainly can't be demonizing them anymore and saying all of the world's problems are white people's problems, especially in the country created by white people. Like, we got to kick them out of their own country. So like that kind of rhetoric's not going to work. Demonizing men is not going to work. But anybody who stands up, like, they'll throw Bernie under the bus for this, I'm sure, for, capitulating and saying that the Democrats are undemocratic. How dare you go against the party and tell the truth? I don't know if he's trying to walk it back. There's a difference between people admitting things because they're like, we were wrong, and I'm genuinely sorry about this, or I genuinely don't believe this anymore. And then there's the people who are like walking things back because they realize, they see the writing on the wall, and they want to position themselves for future prospects. So that's like Gavin Newsom walking back some of the like furthest liberal policies in California, and then kind of saying like, oh, well, I didn't, I don't really believe that anymore. I never really said that. I was never really a fan. I kind of was just going along with it. Like he wasn't the flag bearer the whole time of like the furthest left policies, but because he wants to position himself to be president, and they've seen like the farthest left is not going to win the presidency. So you have to kind of be discerning on which side that is, like if they're being genuine or if they're like just like capitulating to kind of keep their security and their influence. I think most of them is the latter, that they're trying to just keep their security. But at the very least, even if they're admitting it begrudgingly, they're still admitting it. Like, Bernie's still saying that it was undemocratic. And that's going to make people actually sit and think. Even if they gain a more favorable opinion of specific politicians, their favorability of the DNC and the whole operations behind it, I think that's going to continue to go downhill. And I don't think they're doing themselves any favors to regain that, versus like the conservatives who seem to be up and up on the rise. And I think with this combination of the Democrats continually shooting themselves in the foot, and if Trump does some of these things that I mentioned in the past of basically very, very meaningful policies that cannot be retracted, that are not opposed, like universal policies. So things like getting rid of income tax. If you do that, if you get rid of income tax, then suddenly everybody's going to have to, like, everybody's going to agree with that, right? Like, they're going to agree with it because the Democrats are still in their era of disagreeing with anything Trump says. If anything good once touched by Trump becomes evil immediately. And so, well, if Trump does these things, like you get rid of income tax, you maybe the tariffs actually work, the prices, like manufacturing comes back, jobs come back. You're going to then in response, you're going to have to say, well, we, the Democrat Party, want to bring income tax back because we can't give Trump a win. We can't agree with him, so we have to oppose him, no matter what it is. So we got to bring income tax back. We have to remove manufacturing from the country. It's like you're not going to be able to do those things. You can't come out and give a speech about how we need to bring income tax back. So those are the things I think Trump needs to do, is the things that like no one's going to disagree with, even if they say, no matter what, even if they hate Trump on the surface, and even if they say it's terrible, in their heart they're not like, oh man, I really want to pay half my money to the government again. I can't wait for the Democrats to get in and double my taxes again. That's not going to happen. So he's got to do policies that have lasting impact. Even things like term limits for Congress, trying to get that passed. I mean, who's going to want to come in and say, well, we want to remove the term limits on Congress, the age limits, whatever. Who's going to come in and say that? And the Democrats are going to be forced to, because they're in a position where no matter what Trump does, even if it's the most amazing policy in the world, they can't agree with it. No matter what happens, they just can't agree with it. So we'll see what the Democrats do. It seems there's no plan. I don't think there really can be a plan, because they're trying to create this false world where they have total control of everything. And in order to do that, you have to, manipulate. You have to take away people's rights. You have to take freedom of speech away. You have to push this false narrative that like diversity is our strength and we can all get along, and everybody's malleable. Like, human beings are totally like malleable objects. They're economic units that can be moved around and replaced. And people realize that's not the truth. And so you can't create a system that forces all those ideas on people and then at the same time walk that back, because as soon as you walk that back, they start to realize that that was all a lie. So then it completely falls apart. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, because they can't push even further on that stuff, because people are starting to it's starting to really scare them and push them away. But you can't pull it back, because then people start to realize your lie, because you're kind of changing your story and walking it back. So I don't think there's a plan, and I don't think there really can be a plan. And I think anybody who seems to be genuine and kind of wants things that to change, like I said, this David Hogg's trying to say hey, we should appeal to men. They just get removed. They don't want to hear it. So that's fine. They can just, flounder without any constructive criticism, but that's kind of the future, it seems. And if Trump does things that that voters will not disagree with, they just absolutely will never vote to take away the things Trump's done. Like the new thing with the medical, trying to lower the drug prices, saying that we pay the same as the lowest paying country. If medical prices drop 80%, like he said that they will, and that's only one aspect. That's only the drug prices. There's other things we can do in the medical industry to lower prices. But who's going to want to say, I want my drug prices to go up 80%? Because there's a third of the country or something that's on diabetic or thyroid medication. And then immediately, would they really want it to go back up 80%? Even if they hate Trump, they'll have to give him a win. And you can't give the big orange evil man any win, because then it humanizes him. Then it's well, maybe he could be right about other things. And that's why I have family members who are starting to not hate Trump so much, and they say maybe he could be right about this or that, or maybe they're at least giving him more leeway, more time. They want to pay attention. They want to hear what he actually has to say versus what CNN has to say about him, or MSNBC has to say about him. They're paying a little bit closer attention and giving him, even if it's the smallest amount, a little bit more leeway, and the acknowledgement that it is humanly possible, it's conceivable for Trump to be right about something, and that will go a long way. And he already won in a landslide. And if you tighten the voting regulations again, you kick all the illegals off, you kick anybody who's dead off the ballot, you make sure that's all running smoothly, and then you do these things that cannot be argued against, that everybody agrees needs to be done. Lower drug prices, less taxes. You are setting yourself up for a major victory in the future, because Trump also seems to be kind of saying I and the Republicans have done X or Y or Z. And he's trying to divvy out that glory to the Republicans so that the next person can actually win. And it's not just Trump did all this by himself. It's like, oh, me with the Republicans, you know, pick the next Republican. So at least he's kind of like doing that. He's priming people for that. So we'll just have to see how it turns out. It is interesting to see politicians like Bernie come out and kind of, you know, finally admitting these things. How that breaks rank and what happens to people who break rank, we'll just have to see, because Bernie's a big name. He's not really going to go anywhere. He's still going to be relevant. And we'll just have to see like what he says going forward, if he still decides to fall at the feet of the people who betrayed him, or if he's going to keep breaking rank more and more as he gets older and realizes, like, you know, what do I have to lose here? Trump's really not the worst thing that's ever happened. Trying to push that narrative is not doing us any good. Maybe I should take a stance like RFK, where it's like I could get in Trump's good graces and get 60, 70, 80% of what I want, just not the extra 20, versus falling at my master's feet and getting 50%, you know, but I at least get to say I'm a Democrat still. It's like you'd actually probably get more done under Trump if you're talking and negotiating with him. So I think we'll see more of that with the Democrats breaking rank, and they'll lose control, and they won't have the ability to, you know, reinstate this control as much as they have in the past. They won't be able to lock down on their own people as much, because the average citizen's looking at that and they're like, well, actually that idea is not that bad. And for some reason you just oppose it because it gives Trump a win. And why is it bad to give the president a win? If the president's advocating for all the people and we all agree like X thing is good, why is it bad to give him a win on that? And they won't have an answer other than he's orange. So that's my thoughts on this. If you made it all the way through the video, I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.